So GenG. GenG versus Exet. Surely not. This is a good one. I also wanted to have a look at Knights as well. Yeah, I'll do some complexity analysis in a bit. We've got Rogue and complexity people want to see. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Oops. It happens, it happens, it happens, it happens, guys, it happens. That's actually a really nice fake from Sosa, though, to be fair. This is sort of how most kickoffs tend to go at a high level. So you see, for some reason, ZPS is really slow to that boost. Appjack's about to get to that boost there. But you see how both kickoff takers are going to land quickly and recover quickly out of this. You see both cheats are a similar kind of distance. This is sort of like a default kickoff, except for ZPS going for the long route to the boost. Chronic and Sosa should both get the mid boosts. The cheat will probably contest for the ball, and if not, they'll go via pads if the ball goes somewhere else. Or they might be able to attempt to boost steal at the midfield. And then the person who gets the boost at the back will rotate in towards the play, where the ball is quite frequently going to pop out towards them. And then that's sort of like default kickoff. And what we saw with the phase SSG kickoff is like the opposite boost was grabbed, which then takes away from the efficiency of the mid person to rotate out, the predictability of where the ball's going to go, and the cheat, you either have to fully commit like Miss did or not commit at all like Daniel did. So you can't really get in as close. So you see here, Chronic gets mid boost that side. I think Sosa gets the boost the other side, right? See how they bounce off of the kickoff. And then they're back in the play nice and quickly. I do want to see what ZPS... Okay. Bro, you need to not do that. It looks cool. And we'll see if this is a frequent thing. But that is... So, like, right here, the boost has been collected. And then if we go look at Appjack is already driving towards the middle of the pitch. You can just see the difference in the quality of getting that back corner boost. Like, Appjack here, he does the half flip version, which I think is about the same speed as the other version, but puts you in a slightly better angle mostly. But yeah, if that's a common thing that ZPS does, that needs to be removed from his kickoff strategies. It might have just been like when someone goes for the kickoff and they jump too high because their car didn't flip. What do you think of Cheese? He looked solid. Seems to be quite hard to read mechanically, which is, you know, one of the hardest things to teach in Rocket League. Like, you can teach rotations and efficiency and stuff like that pretty well, but creativity is a hard thing to teach. Yeah, this... Another mistake from Nolly, but where's this come from? Oh, just mid-flip. This does come from Cheese's breakdown here. I want, to be honest, here... I kind of want to see a single flip dodge, but, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah, and Appjack's just playing for the win too much here. But then I guess, like, at this level, Nolly should be able to get that, but then Nolly's low on boost, and that's because he got bumped. Why did he get bumped? That touch happened like that, and then Appjack got beaten. You know, like, it's all these tiny little decisions, right? That take players out of the game a bit longer than you'd want. Yeah, Appjack's playing second where it needs to be playing third. To be honest, what I'd prefer to see here is a little bit more patience and not realizing that they're not in a strong position, and just Nolly saying forcing instead. You know, like in this position here, Nolly recognizing he's not going to be in a good position for this and just saying forcing. And then that way Jack knows that it's going to be beaten. You know, like the 50-50, yes, it probably should just expect the 50-50 based off of that. But like I said, if he calls out early, forcing, then that way Jack knows to cover behind. And then that way, the better case scenario, Nolly beats them. Wow, you win. Nolly wins out, carries on himself. But like, Jack needs to be covering the worst case scenario here. And Nolly can almost like make him more confident of that worst case scenario by saying forcing. I don't know. That's, in my mind, obviously it's hindsight 2020 vision right here. But I think right now there's a little bit too much trusting the win from GenG, where they're not prepared for a situation where they lose out on challenges. It's happened a few times. There's quite a few times the goal was just empty from where a player overcommitted thinking that the ball was just going to be won. Like, Chronic's not going to get back in time there to save that shot. So I think Chronic is fine to wait upfield. I think, to be honest, I think Chronic should start thinking about going back. You see what I mean? Like, everyone on the pitch is playing second rather than looking to cover for if a teammate gets beaten. Like, Nolly shouldn't have to win that. Nolly shouldn't have to go for a challenge like that, especially on low boost, and have to win it. Like, obviously he's playing to win it, but there should be redundancy within your rotation to allow for if your teammate gets beaten, if the opponent does a good 50-50 or whatever it is, right? Nice from Chronic. You see, again, stuff like this, right? Like, this is good from Chronic to play for the miss from Nolly. Gets the 50-50. Okay, to be fair, he just landed that way. But you can see right there, like, if he went upfield for Nolly's hit, then he's going to get screwed over. Whereas Nolly should be allowed to just let that go. Again, concerning positioning here, right? Like, Jack shouldn't be pushing on that. He should be confidently third. Like, I think they haven't got a player who wants to play third, who's willing to play third, you know? If they all just were willing to be a bit patient off the ball and wait for the ball to pop out, they'll be in a stronger position. And you can, if you sit deeper, you can control the decision to let the ball go quite well in Rocket League, right? Like, if you know you've got a deeper third in a situation, like if, say, someone goes to the ball and someone says, hey, I'm behind you, you can then go, well, I'm not going to go for this 50-50, I'm just going to let the ball go, you know? So, like, this kind of offense, right? Right here, PK are not broken down, right? PK, they've got someone in net, they've got someone rotating into goal, and someone rotating even further than that, right? They are low on boost, right? I would say that's fair to say. They are low on boost. But they're not broken down fully just yet, right? So that was a good beat by them. Touch up into the corner. I like that. But this kind of gameplay here, they need to do a little bit more breakdown before they start going for these kinds of decisions. And so you might be thinking, what do I mean by that, right? So if we go back to this decision off the wall, right? Chronic here, touches that down middle. Look at the recovery speed for this decision, right? Appjack then comes in, takes a shot. Both of them are landing. Nolly comes in as third and has to get the block. But, like, if he got beaten there by the defender, then the counterattack comes away. And, like, they're doing this too often where they're doing three-person plays where they have no protection behind if it goes badly, right? Like, you have to do that every now and again, that's fine, but it's about the frequency of these kinds of decisions. One missed touch, one missed decision, one overcommitment, and they're screwed, right? So yeah, they need to look to do the 1v2 outplays, 1v3 outplays for a bit longer. Like here, this is an exact example of it, right? Nolly, zero boost, rotating back, tries to put it back in the middle to set up a play. And obviously no one is there to take it, so Appjack trying to put that down to Nolly, trying to set up a play. Like, everything is, they need to be more independent of each other, try and take control of that ball themselves and break the opponents down rather than this forcing passing plays, forcing out plays and so on. I think it's a little bit of old Dignitas vibe with Violent Panda on, of like forcing the passing play, which just doesn't work anymore because, like here, right? Chronic shouldn't be passing this. Chronic should be looking to just bang that clear and then nollie play off it. But instead, 2 players taking out the game, especially when Appjack's on low boost, all it takes, they've got 1 player from PK is able to take 2 players out the game then, right? 1 good read from a defender takes 2 players out the game. So yeah, when you're in neutral play in Rocket League, you need to be thinking about how you as 1 or 2 can take out more of your opponents. So you want to be as 1 player taking 2 players out the game, or for less boost than your opponent's using to stop you, grinding down your opposition. So you can think of so many different ways to do this, but if you use, say, 30 boost, you want to try and get your opponents to use 50 or 60. If you take 1 player out the game, you need to be able to recover quickly. If you use 2 players for a play, you need to be taking all 3 of your opponent's players out the game. If you, as a single player, don't do a huge amount on the ball, but you give the ball to your teammates, you need to do some off-the-ball breakdown play, like boost stealing, going for bumps, or if you can, rotate back to allow your teammates to come forward. You need to always be thinking in the neutral game about how you can gain advantage over your opposition to create that space to break your opponents down. At the moment, what I'm seeing with GenG is they're making decisions that you would make if you're in advantage when their opposition aren't broken down. And they're the worst decisions you can make because it often leaves you in vulnerable positions on counterattacks because you commit 2 players to an outplay, they only commit 1, they take 2 players out the play for the value of 1, right? All of them are... Hang on, does Nolly do it as well? I don't think Nolly does. He never did in the past. Chronic and Appjack are both camera spammers. So this is what we're talking about efficiency. So you can see right here, if we look, I don't know if Sosa did it well, but let's look at Sosa on the other side and see the position difference. So Chronic's boost grab takes him too wide. He has too much momentum going into the grab. So as he grabs the boost, he's just landing, so his car takes him out wide. Whereas he needs to improve the efficiency and the tightness of that boost grab. So like, hang on. It's on boardless right now, but this is going to be... Oh, boardless, the input delay. Okay. So you need to be getting that boost and not sliding through. I'm not very good at it. I'm not a pro. But there is a... You need to like cancel your flip as you're going. And what a lot of players will do is they haven't worked on this part of their game since they've learned how to do better flip mechanics. And so then they take themselves out wide and then they come out like out here. If that makes sense. Players tend to be better from the back bit here because they land before the boost and turn into it. But it's this tight one here where they need to like land and turn on the boost, if that makes sense. It only becomes a big issue when your teammate loses the kickoff like this. See here? How far it takes him out. At this point here, he needs to be on the boost turning back in towards the middle. So that the moment that ball goes past, they can turn towards that. You can even say you can see the decision-making time was delayed as well. But yeah, like if we look here, you can see right here, there could be this turn here, which is much more efficient than going around that way, right? So yeah, that's the main thing about it. Even if it was more like here, right? It's a lot of it's about momentum, right? It's having so much speed that takes you wide and round. But yeah, this is something I'm going to keep bringing up until it changes, because there's a lot of players who don't work on this part of their game. But then equally, we can see that Appjack's kickoff just got countered. This is the way to counter this kickoff. If you know your opponents go for it like this, is you just do it back to them, but with a slight different angle, right? So you see here, Appjack's trying to deflect it towards the back corner, where ZPS is hitting through the ball, but with an angled car to counter the angle, and also saves a little bit of boost. Yeah, he did just mess up the flip that other time. Okay, so he turns towards the net. Fair play. It's a much more defensive approach, especially when you're up 5-1. I can understand it. I don't know if they do that every single time. But I think the optimal thing to do is to have a nice tight flip towards the boost and then be able to turn up and towards the net. Like, look at the difference here, right? Takes out one player, takes out two player, clear goes away, Nolly's first to it, takes out one player, takes out two, score, right? You can see the difference in the breakdown there versus what we saw earlier on. Like, the reason why they scored there is because they were looking to take players out of the game rather than looking to do passing plays, you know? I wonder what their comms are like. I bet they're calling out positions a lot, like, I'm left, I'm right. And I think it's because they've got such good friendship as a team and they're excited about being a team at this event. They're almost trying to force teamwork too much rather than just trying to be the best Rocket League players they can be by being efficient, by being good on the ball, that kind of thing. They're too focused on the teamwork side of things and not so focused on the, let's just chill out and just give me the ball and I'll try and do something to get some players out of the game, you know? That would be my guess. From PK's point of view, I would say they played solid, and that's what they needed to do against this GenG team. Like, they didn't do anything crazy, but then they just tried to control the play, right? And so they were just positioning well, waiting for mistakes. Like this game as well, this is going to be in favor of PK. They look really solid. Cheese looks really good. But like, you see how they're just waiting for mistakes? Right? They're just putting the ball in awkward locations and then waiting for mistakes. But like, you see this from Sosa. That was him going, assessing what was in front of him. Nolly's going to outplay there. How do I get this ball back? Get the bump, take control, right? Right here you see 100 boost grab. How much boost used for this play? Only 34. Lands down, keeps that boost. But then let's look at Chronic in this situation, right? Chronic here has almost 100. Uses a lot of boost to get it. Needs to use some boost to recover. Takes himself out of the play for a while and then comes back in, right? So it's like, that's the big difference with the way the two teams are playing when it comes down to the neutral game. And then, like, again here, right? Trying to force it into a team play. So this is what I'm saying. Like, the resources being used by GenG to break down is too much right now. Where it's the opposite is true of PK, right? So Chronic taking himself out the game, using up a lot of boost. Was it Nolly? No, it was Jack who tried flipping into it. Jack tries forcing it into something more. So then two players taken out of the game. Both used a lot of boost, but then we watch Sosa. 30 boost to center it to a teammate who can shoot, right? So you can just see the difference in the breakdown mindset of the two teams. And that's why the games for GenG did seem like they were getting counterattacked a lot. And it was because they were over-committing in the neutral game. Oh, this is a frequent thing, seeing Appjack on no boost, isn't it? So whenever I see people on no boost in defense, I like to go back and see where their boosters come from, right? So there was the last 100 grabbed. Again, forcing a play right here. This should just be chill out, right? Just chill out. Like, you see how Jack has taken himself out of the play here for no reason, right? If he just chilled out there, he would have more boost. He would be back in the play now, be able to do more with it. When he did this aerial, you know, he then has only 26 boost. And now he has no boost, right? So the whole efficiency of some of these decisions. He used 50 boost to go sniff Sosa, you know? So a little bit more calmness off the ball and accepting that you don't need to rush towards every play. Yeah, and you can see Jack was in a bit of a sticky situation here. And Nolly just panic flipped into it, causing the own goal. But yeah, all of this panic just comes from their structure goes because they've lost all their boost and resources. You see Chronic gets too close to the play here. Like, he needs to just trust Appjack here to Oh, probably Appjack wanted to get the boost, right? And he just can't read it. Yeah, it's just a big lack of structure. Okay, so this is one thing I do quite like, is the whole left goes thing that happens in ranked. You miss out on opportunities like this. Like the same side diagonal kickoff is a really unique interaction that I think can create a lot of goals. So I like this. Chronic has said, I'm going to kill it or put it to the right. Right? So Appjack comes in expecting the kill or expecting it to go towards the right. And then the other advantage you got with the double diagonal is that players get back towards the net a lot quicker because it's a half flip into facing towards the goal, right? Like this. This is why I'm a big believer in the face towards the net half flip rather than facing up the line half flip. Unless you're trying to specifically push it to the wall. And this creates a nice situation for Nolly. And I guess Sosa... Why did he take so long to get the boost? Ah. Turned upfield. Not that it mattered here too much, but I think he just thought ZPS was going to get a 50 there. And then Nolly just beat him to it. So a few misread interactions led to a goal. I think Nolly had the better half flip to get boost. Jack leaving the ball was a good decision here. Just recognizing ZPS was double jumping. ZPS should be single jump aerialing at that. So if we watch here, see the double jump loses all his options by double jumping. But if instead he single jumps at this, he can bang that high above Nolly. He could probably take control of it, all sorts of other things. But because he panicked at it to try and beat Jack to the ball, where actually Jack beating him to the ball here is fine because it will just go straight to Sosa. Yeah, that's where that kickoff went wrong. So just a little bit... ZPS, I'd say, is probably the biggest mistake of needing to single jump, but then Sosa took the risk of coming up too far and then it didn't pay off. Well, I think Jack is playing this way. Did he do it when he was on Dig? Potentially. I think knowing Jack as a person and hearing him speak in interviews and stuff like that, I think he does get quite nervous / emotional. And one of the most frequent reasons players play this way is when they feel nerves or they are uncertain or uncomfortable. And so perhaps there's an element of that in this. Because, you know, in your head, you're like, we've got to play fast. We've got to play effective and fast. You know, like playing fast is a good thing in Rocket League. But playing rushed is not a good thing. So it's playing fast and controlled is the key. This is really nice from Chronic. This goal's mostly from Chronic, right? So you see, just patient, off the ball, goes all the way back, gets that first 50, nice and controlled. Second 50, doesn't go for the boost, puts it across, and then Appjack squeezes it down back to him. Really nice. But yeah, he seems to be rushed rather than fast. It could be all sorts of things, right? It could be new environment. Perhaps he's just got into chugging energy drinks. Who knows, you know? Perhaps the way Chronic and Nolly communicate makes him panic a bit more. Maybe the way they communicate in scrims is different to the way they communicate in matches, and so he's not used to that. Maybe, you know, like, perhaps he's not got as much sleep as he wanted to, so he's trying to play fast, but he's not processing what he's seeing when he's going fast. Like, there's so many factors that can lead to players playing like this. Yeah, this, you can see here, just Appjack is just not reading the play as he normally would. I'd also probably assume his whole environment changing will have affected his ability to play his best. And lack of familiarity with his team. You know, it's a whole new team environment. He hasn't been on a new team like this for a while. Enjoy the neutral game discussion. I have friends I play threes with. I didn't realise that that's what we were doing. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's after this game, we'll do some like teaching, question and answer teaching with you guys. I mean, this game's over now. Let's just do it now.